G'day everyone, welcome back to another video on the channel, and today I'll be going over my round 9 AFL tips and predictions, as well as going through my round 8 predictions and big calls. So as usual, I'll start off with what I got in round 8. So the first game between Richmond and the Cats, I tipped Richmond, as most people probably did, and the Cats obviously won the game pretty convincingly at the end. Next game we had the Saints taking on the Suns. I tipped the Saints, I got that one correct. Then I tipped the Giants to beat the Bombers, tipped the Pies to beat the Roos, tipped the D's to beat the Swans, and then tipped the Power to beat the Crows in the Showdown. So I got all 5 correct tips on the Saturday, but the Sunday games I tipped Hawthorn. Why did I tip Hawthorn? Eagles won convincingly, but then I tipped Bulldogs to beat the Blues, and I tipped the Lions to beat the Dockers. So I ended up getting 7 out of 9. I ended up getting 7 out of 9 for round 8, which I guess you would take. But to be fair, it was a pretty easy round to pick, and I guess you could say most people got around the 7 mark. Blaze17, quick little shout out, he got 9 out of 9, so well done to you. But that brings me to 68th out of 476 in the tipping comp. And obviously I'll also go through my big calls to see if I've got to do a punishment. So the first game, Richmond beat Geelong, I predicted there to be 10 goals scored at half time, but 13 goals ended up being scored. In the Giants-Essendon game, I predicted Hooker and Tipper to combine for 7 goals or more. They only got 3 goals. In the Saints-Gold Coast game, I predicted it to be a high-scoring 29 combined goals scored, but unfortunately, it was pretty low-scoring. The only 15 goals were scored combined. In the North v Pies game, I predicted North to be up by 15 at quarter time. However, the Pies were up by 6. I predicted Gaunt to have 130 Supercoach points, but he only had 112. And in the Port v Adelaide game, the Showdown, I predicted Port to kick 7 or more goals, and then he caught up, but the most that they kicked were 5. And it doesn't get much better, because in the Hawks-Eagles game, I predicted Hawks to kick 7 more goals than behinds, and they kicked a very inaccurate 8 goals 12. I was close to the next one, the Bulldogs-Carlton game. I said the top 3 disposal getters were going to be Dogs. And then in the last game, Brisbane v Freo, I predicted that the Lions would win the tackle count by 25 or more, but they only won it by 4. So I ended up getting 0 out of 9, which I guess you could say isn't the first time that's happened to me, but geez, it's not great, which obviously means I've got to do a punishment for the week. And I know, quickly before I go through that punishment, I know you guys were here probably expecting to see me, Bitter and Geordie sing Wiggle songs outside Southland as the last punishment, and I did even put in the comment below that it will happen this week, but Bitter, he's got plans, so it makes sense why he wasn't able to do it. So we're going to try and get that sorted as soon as possible, hopefully next week. So yeah, if you guys were here to see that, you can express your dissatisfaction down below in the comments section. But sometimes plans are changed, so I guess that's just another punishment I've got to do. And speaking of another punishment I've got to do, the one that got the most likes for last week's tipping comp was surprisingly not Geordie for the first time in a while. It was actually Sport Plays, which only got 151 likes, so a bit less than the last week. But punishment was to go to a random AFL game that's not St Kilda and sing the Saints theme song. We'll do that next week. I wasn't able to get the chance to do so this week, considering that the game's finished on the Sunday. And yeah, quickly before we get into my round 9 tips, I'll just go through my tipping comp, which is not ESPN tipping, so if you want to join it, just search up Carman22's tipping comp, and there will be a prize given out at the end of the year. But I am 68th, I'm 49, and the person with the most tips is 54. I do a thing where if you get 9 out of 9, you get an extra point, so it gives you a bit of an initiative to try and get 9 out of 9, which obviously you would try and do, but excellent on top, well done. Hopefully I can leapfrog above a few people and try and get maybe into the top 50 by the end of next round. However, we'll go through my tips for round 9. And the first game we've got St Kilda taking on the Cats, Friday night footy. This one will be quite an interesting one. The Saints are actually starting to find themselves into a little bit of form. I know they only played the Hawks and the Suns, so it's a real testament on them to see if they can finally perform on the big stage. We've been pretty poor lately in primetime matches. You guys probably would know the Thursday night game against the Tigers. But yeah, we played not great against the Suns, but we got the job done. It seemed like all hope was lost at 3/4 time when we were down by 15, but we found a way, like every week against the, like every game against the Suns, and that's sort of what the good teams do. They don't have to win pretty. We definitely won an ugly one there. The Cats were just, well, they won pretty. They were just absolutely dominant after half time. They were the better team for the last 3 quarters. Rowan, Hawkins, Cameron, they were lethal, kicking 15 goals between them, and they They smashed the Tigers to the tune of 63 points at the MCG. Do I think we can win? I think we have a chance, but if I want to go safe, like historically we played pretty poor against the Cats, and I know Ryder and Mitch, they always say, oh, tip your own team, but I'm with AFL Legend. You know, if you tip against your team and they win, you know, it's a win-win. You know, if Cats win, I get the tip right, but if the Saints win, the Saints win. So I will be tipping the Cats to win this one by 18 points. I think it'll be fairly close, hopefully. Next game, we got Sydney taking on Collingwood at the SCG. The Swans were pretty gallant against the D's, but it just felt like the D's were the better side for most of the match and never looked like losing really, apart from a couple stages in the last. But the Swans, they wouldn't lose any followers in that one because they were pretty good and they almost beat the D's, who are now 8-0. The Pies, though, you know, if they lost that, there would be massive questions on Buckley. They sort of just managed to win. They didn't win very convincingly. They weren't great, but they ended up beating the Roos. The Goey, if it wasn't for him, who kicked 6, maybe the Roos would have won that game because they'd made way too many mistakes. I think this is a pretty safe tip to go the Swans. They've been much better this year, and especially at the SCG. Couldn't see the Pies winning this one, but I have a feeling this might be closer than what you guys do think. I think the Pies will put up a challenge in a low-scoring affair. I'm going to go the Swans to win this one by 11 points. The combined score is less than 140 points. The University of Tasmania Stadium in Launceston, we've got Hawthorn take on North Melbourne. This one doesn't seem to be this seems to be quite a mockbuster, really. 17th versus 18th, just like last week. If North had any chance of winning, it would have been against the Pies, but they have another chance here because it is at Tassie. They weren't terrible against the Pies, but you know, it's going to be hard to see them winning many games this year. The Hawks, I don't know why I tipped them. They were shocking, really. I watched the first quarter, no goal scored in that quarter, but after quarter time, the Eagles just, you know, took it to the next level. They were much better. And even with all their outs the Eagles had, they still convincingly beat the Hawks by 38 points. I see the Roos potentially winning this one, but Hawks just play this ground very well for some reason, and I just feel like this is the sort of game where they just take control of it from start to finish and win the game by 33 points. My big call, Liam Shields, has 25 or more touches and 8 or more tackles. He's been leading the tackle count for the Hawks. Next game, we've got Gold Coast taking on Brisbane at Metricon Stadium. Gold Coast, where I would say the better team for probably the most of the match against the Saints, but we just took it to the next level after three-quarter time. So the Suns were, I guess you could say, were unlucky to lose, but we did deserve to win that one. Brisbane were just the upper class. They were just the dominant side. They were a lot better than Freo. Never looked like losing, had control of the game from the start to the end of the match. And this one, you'd think would probably go the same way, but I think the Suns could potentially cause an upset here. Like, they're playing at Metricon. They play Metricon quite well. I have a feeling this could be I do think it'll be quite a high-scoring Q clash. And generally, the Q clashes are quite high-scoring and entertaining. And I feel like this could be similar. I'm going to tip the Lions, though, but by a close margin of only 6 points with my big call. The first 6 shots of the game are all goals. Next up, we've got Richmond taking on GWS at Marvel Stadium, the first Saturday night game. And boy, oh boy, wowee, the Tigers and the Giants are both sitting at 4-4 after round 8. If you would have told me at after round 3, that both the Tigers and the Giants will be on the same amount of points, I would be telling you that you are bloody dreaming. But here we are now, and that's exactly what happened. And the Giants have a chance of winning this one. I mean, the Tigers, they fell away in the second half. They were non-existent after half-time. And yeah, they lost by 63 points at the end, so they just fell away at the end. It wasn't great at all for the Tigers. And now they've been involved in a new scandal between Daniel Rioli and Shai Bolton. The guy who took arguably Mark of the Year has now, fractured his hand at a nightclub. So I have no idea what has happened there. And the Giants, they held on at the end against the Bombers at home after the Bombers they almost won the game at the end. Hooker, was that a free kick? Maybe, but they got the job done, and that's what they needed to do to stay within the finals contention. A 2-point win against the Bombers. So this one, look, you've got to pick the Tigers. I just can't see them losing this one because they'll be going 4-5. I would start questioning them whether they can make the top 4, let alone the top 8. But I will see the Tigers winning this one, but I feel like the Giants will be in the game for most of it. And in fact, that's what my big call is going to be. The Giants will be leading at halftime. Next up, we've got what could be the game of the round. Port Adelaide taking on the Western Bulldogs at Adelaide Oval. The two you could say two of the most informed teams of the comp, up there with Melbourne, I guess. But obviously, since it's at Adelaide Oval, the Port have the advantage. Port were too strong against Adelaide. We all expected that sort of result to happen. They won the game by 49 points. Obviously, never looked like losing that one. The Dogs, well, I was actually at this game, and I thought they were not much of a chance. Late in the third, they were down by 27 points, but they were absolutely electric in that last quarter. They polled on 9 goals in a row to beat the Blues by 16 points. So this one is actually sort of tough, but Bulldogs haven't really won at Adelaide Oval against the Power. I don't remember the last time that actually happened. So I feel like the Dogs will be up for the challenge and will be in the game, but I feel like Port should win it. And I'm going to predict them to win the game by 17 points, with my big call being the Bulldogs have more scoring shots but lose. It's the sort of game where the Dogs just keep having these scoring shots and inside 50s but continuously keep missing. Next game, we've got the first game on Sunday. We've got Essendon taking on Fremantle at Marvel Stadium. Now, the Bombers were gallant against the Giants. They looked pretty crap at quarter time. They conceded the first 5 or so goals of the game, but they managed to get back into the contest and only lost by the 2 points after a controversial decision at the end. They've scored 100 points consecutively for the last 2 weeks, but they haven't been able to win in any of those games. So, you know, the Bombers, they've actually been quite impressive in the last few weeks, I'm not going to lie. Dockers, though, they've been quite crap in the last few weeks. They got done by the Eagles in the Derby, and they got done by Brisbane. They got a few cheap goals at the end, but they never looked like winning that one. And there's a few question marks on the Dockers now. I think the Dockers really need to win this game and prove that they can win or get away from home to have any chance of finals this year. But I don't see that happening. I haven't tipped the Bombers once this season. I know a few people have let me know about it, especially the Bombers fans. But finally, hallelujah, I'll be tipping the Bombers. I think they will win this game, and I think they'll win it quite comfortably. Essendon to win this one by 27 points. Big call, however, will involve the Freo player, Nat Fyfe, will kick 4 or more behinds. He's been shocking this season in terms of goal kicking. You think he's kicked something like 3 goals, 14. Next game, we've got Melbourne taking on Carlton at the MCG. The D's they managed to hold on. That's what good teams do. They might not play too good. They were playing in second gear for most of it, I'd probably have to say. But they managed to hold on, 1 by 9. They're 8-0 now. They haven't been in a better position since back in the 60s. So they're in flying. They're in absolutely immaculate form, the Demons. The Blues, I saw Blue Abroad and the Pommy and Oz reviews, and they were absolutely furious. And no wonder. They should have won that game. They looked sensational for most of the game. They were up by 27 points late into that third quarter, but they sort of did what the Eagles did against the Saints. They just stopped, really. The Dogs just outran them, outgassed them. They were just much better in that last quarter and ended up winning by 17 points. So I'm sure Blues fans will be disappointed that they didn't get to win that one, because if they would have won that game, finals will be still in contention. But it's hard to see making finals if they lose against the D's. It's going to be hard to back the Blues in, not going to lie. I feel like the Blues, as they are every week, they'll contend for most of the game, but Melbourne should win the game by 23 points. Big call, Harry Mackay, it's another good game. And after the end of the round, we'll lead the Common by 5 or more goals. We're moving to the last game of the round, and probably the one that is looking to be the most one-sided affair. We've got West Coast taking on Adelaide at Optus Stadium. If this was played at Adelaide Oval, you could have maybe given Adelaide the slightest of chances, but West Coast has just been in a really good form, and they're playing at home against the Crows, who the Crows as of late have been playing how they have been for most of 2020 and don't look like much of a threat to any opposition. So this could get ugly, honestly. This could be an absolute pumping waiting to happen. I will be backing the Eagles because the Crows, they weren't great against the Power last week, nor were they against the Giants. I'm going to go West Coast by 73 points. With my big call, the West Coast Eagles kicked 22 or more goals. So there you go, guys. Those are my tips and predictions for round 9, and also my big calls. Let me know down below your predictions, how you think I'll go for this week. Comment down a punishment that you want me to do, and if I get 3 or less big calls correct for this round, I'll have to do a punishment. And with the punishments, I've seen a few of them recently that are pretty stupid, to be fair. Like, there are some punishments that you guys are suggesting that I'm just plain and simply not going to do, like things that are going to get me in trouble or things that are going to, you know, get me to spend that much money. I'm not going to do. So try and pick a punishment that's actually genuinely good. Yeah, if it's a good enough punishment, I will definitely do it if it gets the most likes. If you're new to the channel, feel free to subscribe for more AFL content, tips every Tuesday, And yeah, there's going to be a bit of content coming out every day for the rest of the week. So stay tuned for that, and I'll be seeing you guys soon in my next video.